Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our final buy, sell, keep, avoid video of this season. Gameweek 38, buy, sell, keep, avoid. This series is going to be done for the next few months. Be sad to see it go, but we've got to end the season at some point, right guys? If you do enjoy this final episode of this series, please do drop a like, would massively appreciate it. Do subscribe if you're new around here, but let's have a look at the rules for the final time this year. Okay, so buys are players you probably don't have but should consider bringing in. Sells are players you probably have but should consider removing. Keeps are players you might be thinking about removing. I think you should keep them. And avoids are players that are pretty hyped up right now, but I think they are potential traps that should be avoided. 2 players in each category. Let's start off with some buys. So our first buy is actually going to be Harry Kane, and those of you guys who watched my differentials video yesterday will already know a little bit about this pick, but I thought, should I just do something different in buy, sell, keep, avoid? Well, no, because the players that I like to bring in are the players I like to bring in. I'm not going to change them from video to video. Like, Kane is one of my favourite buys of the game week. Just because he was in yesterday's video doesn't mean he doesn't get to feature in this one as well. But he has got Leeds away in what is potentially his last ever game for Tottenham Hotspur. We don't know for sure yet, of course, but this is a pretty big deal for Harry Kane. For all he knows, this could be his last game. His numbers are fantastic recently. Scored a lot of goals recently, as well as having good underlying numbers on penalties as well, on free kicks, as we now know as well. And he's playing against a Leeds side that cannot defend, and I know people will say, well, Leeds have got everything to play for. They had everything to play for last game, but they still conceded 3 goals to West Ham. Could have easily been 4 in that game as well. And you may not like Tottenham Hotspur either, but Harry Kane hits different. It doesn't matter what his teammates are doing, he always finds a way to get the goal contributions. He really is that good. So absolutely love Harry Kane for a pick. If you want to hear a little bit more about him, do go check out the differentials video I uploaded yesterday. And yes, Ezra was also in my differentials video yesterday as well. So yeah, I will keep this brief and I'll leave a link to the differentials video in the top of the description. And you guys can go check out all of the lesser owned players that I really, really like for Game Week 38. But in terms of the simple buys, Harry Kane would be one of them. Ezra is another very, very easy, simple buy. You don't really have to think about this one too much. I said in yesterday's video that Ezra is basically the differential for people who don't really want to go differential, because a lot of people will be buying this player, and for good reason. Nottingham Forest at home, it's a really, really good fixture for against a Nottingham Forest team who are on the beach. Ezra has been putting up some really nice numbers lately, and he's very cheap and easy to get to. So yeah, I think he's just a pretty sensible, normal pick that a lot of people will be going for. I don't think he's going to be differential for very much longer. Onto some sells, we've got Callum Wilson, who is a player who has been unlucky not to get FPL returns recently. But the reason why I think he's actually a sell this game week is, one, because I don't really like this fixture for Brighton. Aston Villa have been a pretty strong defence recently. Aston Villa with everything to play for to try and pinch to secure, I guess, that final Europa Conference League position. Like, they can do it with a win. All they need to do is beat Brighton, and they do get that 7th place spot. And that the Conference League is going to mean a lot to Aston Villa. It's going to be a really good, a big deal for them. So yeah, it's also an away fixture for Brighton, and it's a game in which Brighton probably will not be playing for anything in this game. As long as they don't lose 8-0, you know, they're probably going to be absolutely fine, staying exactly where they are in 6th place. There's nothing to play for, and we know that Brighton have been absolutely knackered. They're really leggy. That, you know, they've had so many games recently that Game Week 38 is probably going to be a game where they actually can afford to rest a couple of players, and that would probably include Mitsomar, who has been kind of spoken about in the past by De Zerbi as a player who is struggling to play twice a week, every week. So this could be an opportunity for him to finally get a rest and finally get a little bit of an early break before the summer, because it's been crazy for some of these Brighton players. How many games they've had to play recently has just been absolutely ludicrous. So yeah, I think Mitsomar and maybe some other Brighton players could get a break. So it's not even about them being bad players. It's just about the fact that it's a really difficult fixture on the final game of the season. The fixture means nothing to Brighton. I think there are going to be rotations. So I think there's a lot more to be gained elsewhere around the Premier League as well, in terms of other midfielders you could go for. So yeah, not feeling this pick. I think I would be looking to sell him and maybe some other Brighton players as well, so long as they're not playing at the weekend. Isak is probably another sell as well, particularly if Callum Wilson starts again in that final game against Chelsea. Callum Wilson may be eyeing up a 20-goal season, which could mean that he does start in that final fixture against Chelsea. But Isak, unfortunately, has been playing very, very wide recently. And Isak owners, you'll be very frustrated with him recently, that he has been playing so wide, so far out on the left wing, that he basically looks like he's just doing the warm-up with the substitutes every game, which is not really what you want from an FPL asset, particularly when you're picking a striker. You can see in his numbers as well, they're really, really down. So in his past 6 games, just the 2 assists to show for it. And one of those assists was him winning a penalty, so it wasn't even due to creativity. He just got tackled in the box and won the penalty. I don't want to discredit that at all, but still, it's not really a sustainable way of getting FPL points. So it's really, really looked poor for Isak recently, and that's all been down to the fact that he's been playing so far out on the left wing. He's just not getting the good opportunities to get good FPL chances, you know, good chances to score. He's not been able to create directly as much as well. It's been a little bit difficult for him as an FPL asset. So great player, amazing player, decent fixture, and if he plays as the central striker on this final day of the season, maybe he is a player you could afford to keep, but at the same time, if it's on the wing again, it's not looking good. Erling Haaland is going to be a keep for me, and I'm saying that because he's Erling Haaland. For heaven's sake, guys. I mean, I know people will be looking to sell him for the likes of Harry Kane, and I can definitely back it if Erling Haaland, if we get the early team news that he is on the bench or, you know, not in the squad. But I've seen a lot of people in the comment section of my videos saying, I'm gonna take out Haaland for Kane. Should I do this? Is this a good move? And I just wanted to reiterate in a video form, because I've replied to a few comments, obviously, but I wanted to reiterate in video form that I would not be selling Erling Haaland for Harry Kane or anyone else if Haaland is starting this game against Brentford. If he's on the bench, if we get that early team news, then fair enough, you can afford to remove him, I think. But at the same time, it is just such a big risk that it can just go so wrong. So many people are going to have Erling Haaland, so many people are going to have him captain as well. He has the potential to destroy your entire season in the final game week of the season. How devastating would that be if you've worked hard on getting a rank all season, you push your way up to the rank that you want or to get to the first in your mini league, and suddenly Erling Haaland, you decide to sell him, everyone else is captaining him, he starts against Brentford, scores 3 goals, your season is over in the last minute. It would just be so devastating. So I would not be looking to do that. The only way I would be taking that risk is if we find out he isn't starting. I do understand a little bit more if you keep Erling Haaland but don't captain him. I understand taking a risk, something like that, but to remove him entirely just seems ludicrous to me unless we get that early team news. I'm also going to say keep Kieran Trippier. This one is for slightly different reasons. I mean, first of all, finally got that clean sheet from Newcastle players, I guess. That's quite nice. And Trippier, a couple of assists recently. You can see his goal involvement, 2.18, and that's expected. And that's pretty much all, you know, assist potential as well. He doesn't really shoot one shot in his last 6 games. It's not very much, but he does create a lot, a hell of a lot, in fact. But no, even though Trippier has been quite good, and Chelsea is a pretty decent fixture, you know, Chelsea a team that don't really score too many goals, and you definitely think Trippier is always good for an assist. Actually, the reason why I would be looking to keep Trippier is because I'd be looking to keep pretty much every defender, particularly those defenders with attacking potential. And the reason is, quite simply, the amount of goals that are scored in Gameweek 38 every season. So in general, we usually see 3.5 to 4 goals scored per game on average on the final day of this season. So the defenders are not really going to be able to get you too much unless they have, you know, a bit of attacking potential. Clean sheets are not something you really should be looking for. And therefore, if you're selling Trippier, it probably means because you're bringing in another defender. And I'm kind of looking through all of the defenders thinking, who's going to outscore Trippier? Probably no one. Probably everyone's going to lose their clean sheets. And who's got better attacking potential that would actually make a difference? No, I would not be removing defenders at all. I would not be bringing in defenders. I'll be looking to buy midfielders and forwards for this game week, because midfielders and forwards are the players that typically score you goals and get you assists, and there's going to be so many goals and assists up for grabs in this final game week, and you don't want to miss out on them by prioritizing defensive transfers. It's just not the game week to be moving around defenders or goalkeepers. It is just the game week for attacking this final game week by trying to pick out a player who is going to score goals, get assists, and that's typically not going to be a defender for you. So therefore, Trippier is one of the best defenders I would not be looking to remove unless you absolutely desperately need to downgrade him in order to upgrade another player in your team. That is the only way I'll be removing Trippier for this final game of the season. Finally, some avoids. Purvis of Stupinian, and this is for a similar reason to Trippier. Whatever defenders you have right now, I would probably recommend that you just keep them and focus your attention on trying to pick a high upside or a safe or somewhat just a midfielder or attacker or forward who is just going to be able to score goals. And Stupinian, unfortunately, is probably not going to be that. Now, of course, like I say, Aston Villa is a difficult fixture. Aston Villa do score goals at the moment, so the clean sheet is probably not going to happen for Brighton, so that's gone immediately. Aston Villa also one of the stronger defences in the league at the moment, so again, an attacking return not super likely for Purvis Stupinian, and on top of that, will Purvis Stupinian even be starting? I don't know if he will or not. So I know a lot of people are looking to bring him in Game Week 38 because they are very, very impressed by his 17-point score the other day, but I mean, really, it's just not the move for me. Like, yes, he's a good player to own. Even if I had him, I don't know if I would necessarily play him. I mean, I do have a Stupinian in my squad. Will not be looking to buy or sell him, but I don't even know if I'm going to guaranteed start him, to be honest, because, yeah, I just don't feel like there is a very good opportunity for points here. I would rather focus my attention elsewhere. So anyone looking to buy Purvis Stupinian, I would not be doing that personally. And my final avoid, a little bit controversial, is going to be Mitrovich, who is a player who I've seen a lot of you guys speaking about recently. I've not really covered Mitrovich at all, really, on this channel this week, so I thought we'd use this buy, sell, keep, avoid video as an opportunity to do just that. Now, first of all, I do have to say, in terms of avoids, this is not the most avoidiest of the avoids. I don't hate this transfer by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not one I really like either. So, yes, I definitely understand that Mitrovich scoring 3 goals in his last 2 games since returning from injury, that looks pretty good on paper, right? Of course it does. However, on the other hand, I'm kind of looking through this and thinking, well, one of the goals was obviously a penalty. The XG generated in that game was not too bad. I guess by Mitrovich, like, it's pretty decent. Like, I don't hate it or anything like that. Like, pretty good. We've got a pretty small sample size though since he returned. But you know, 4 shots, 3 goals. Can he sustain that? Maybe. But my issue is that this fixture against Manchester United away, and we've seen recently over the past, you know, 10, 11, 12 games, Man United are literally the best defence in terms of they don't concede goals, you know, at all. They're really, really the strongest defence right now, and Fulham, in general, you wouldn't say is exactly the best attack in the league. Like, it's okay, don't get me wrong, but are we really thinking that Mitrovich is going to be able to score more than once against Manchester United away from home? Like, you could say Man United will be on the beach. They won't be. They'll be looking to secure 3rd in the Premier League. I do strongly believe that. I've said that before this week on this channel. I think Man United will be looking to secure 3rd place. I don't think they're going to suddenly rest all of their best players. Might be a couple of rotations, but it's not going to be a second string squad like Man City do, for example. So, yeah, Fulham also have nothing to play for, remember? So, I don't know. How do you feel about that one? How do you those two compare, I guess? So, yeah, Mitrovich, I think he's a decent player in general, but I just don't like this fixture. I can't see him scoring like a mega haul against a team like Manchester United. Sure, it could happen technically, but I'd rather place my bets on some of the other forwards instead. So yeah, like I say, it's an avoid, but it's like a soft avoid on Mitrovich, and maybe just an opportunity for me to talk about him a little bit. I don't really fancy him against United away. In conclusion, guys, and I cannot stress this enough, I would not be looking to make early transfers at all. Even if you're going to get priced out of a player, if you don't buy him right now, I would still not make an early transfer, because all of your plans could change when we hopefully get some ideas about who is going to be starting and who is going to be on the bench for Game Week 38. We've got press conferences to come. As I record this video, there's still 2 games left in Game Week 37, which may give some hints as towards who will be starting, who needs a rest for that final game week of the season, particularly with regards to Brighton players, who I imagine anyone who plays 80, 90 minutes today, may have a good chance of getting a rest rotation in that final game week of the season, particularly if Brighton don't lose by too many goals, or if they get a draw, for example. You know, I think it could be a bloodbath. So I would be waiting as long as possible, guys, to try and get as much information before making your transfers. And if you get priced out of a player, I think it's okay to take a -4 to make multiple transfers, because I think there's a lot of opportunities in this big differential Game Week 38, and it's definitely going to be that. And yes, guys, speaking of differentials, make sure you do check out the differentials video I uploaded yesterday. I'm going to leave a link to that in the top of the description so you can go and have a look at all of the differentials that I've got in my mind. There's 20 of them in that video, so there's definitely going to be something in there for you. Do like the video before you disappear. Would massively appreciate that. Do subscribe if you haven't done already, although I imagine you probably have at this stage of the season. Aside from that, guys, I will see you tomorrow for the 100 Experts video, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.